This interview gathers questions from my readers and listeners. Thanks to all who participated. And to my amazing prequel series narrators, Alexa and Preston, for appearing. A.L. Hawke.
So Lori's question is, in preparation, do you read the book first to understand the story, or do you just begin the narration and absorb the story as you go?
It's funny because I think with duet, you really, really, really need to read it first, more so than if you're doing dual narration. Dual, I mean, as long as you know where the story's going, you can kind of figure it out moment by moment and play with the rhythm of the story. Duet, it's tricky because since you're only recording, the female dialogue, I'm only recording the male dialogue, you really need to know where the turns are. And so it's you don't want to set yourself up for failure and just kind of be guessing your way through it. I mean, like you wouldn't step onto a movie set and not read the script first. You wouldn't start a production with a play and not read the script first. So even though you're never going to be off book, like have all the dialogue and the lines memorized, you need to know where the story's going, and just to control the rhythm and the flow of the story, you need to know where the turns are. Like you said, where's the climax? Where's the narrative turn? What's this chapter? What's the tone of the chapter? What's the emotional energy of the chapter? Is it a fun chapter? Is it lighthearted? Is it dramatic? Is it scary? Is it intense? Is there action? You kind of need to know that stuff before you jump in. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself hitting a lot of hurdles.
Yeah. I also feel like, there are levels of reading, whether, depending on the genre and the length of the book and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're kind of doing a light pass of the book or you're like really intensely, for example, being like, for this, there are all these Latin phrases and words. And
gosh,
I definitely had to look those up in advance.
Yeah, you had the extra hurdle of having to provide the pronunciations for me. I was making sure we were on the same page. So you speak Latin.
I would
now?
like to. Yeah, now I guess I do.
Fully fluent. Bringing it back. Yeah, interesting, because you're right though. Like different books require more preparation. I mean, nonfiction, you could arguably read a nonfiction book with almost zero prep. You're not doing
that I kind of disagree, because if there are any like names and it's an actual person or
sure,
that kind of stuff, like you just have to kind of be aware of the research element of it.
I did a book about wine, called The Wine List, and it was, I swear to God, I looked up probably over 1,000 words in French. And you know what I know about French? You can't. There's no rhyme or reason to it, because French just likes to mess with you. It's like there'll be silent letters, and like a word will end with like an X, and it's like we're just gonna throw an X in there. We're just gonna throw a few extra vowels that we don't pronounce. It's just there was no, my brain could not deduce from visually looking at the word what it was going to sound like. So I had to look up every single pronunciation on Orvo.com or wherever I could find it, and just it was really a process to get through it, because I don't speak French.
I sympathize with that. I really relate to it. Yeah. I took Spanish in school always, and I did a book about champagne, and there were a lot of French terms, and they really wanted the French pronunciation. So, which I feel like some words with wine and champagne, like we say it differently here, and they were like, no, you have to say it in French. It's like,
which is so hard, because you're basically you're almost transitioning into a French accent when you try to do it, and then you get back into your American accent to continue the narrative side.
Yeah.
So, I swear I thought that book was going to be like 10 hours long. When I was done, it was 4 hours long, and I couldn't believe it. I was so devastated. I just felt like my morale was very low. I was like, this took me so long. It took me 2 weeks to do this book. And I don't speak French anymore, so la-di-da. Okay, so I got 3 character questions. One's from Robert. We'll just go down the list, I guess. So Robert asks, do audiobook narrators make up voices they use on the spur of the moment, or are they ones that they have created over time and reuse? So I guess Yeah.
If it's a minor character, I'll do it spur of the moment usually. But if it's a lead, typically I like to plan it out in advance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've worked with collaborators where it's like, as you're going through the book, you're like sending the new characters that you're coming up with. I kind of prefer to have a plan though. I feel like my recording gets done faster that way. Yeah.
It's better to have a library of characters, right? It's like,
Yeah.
know before you even start, because you know the personality, you know what they're going to sound like, and there's no guessing by the time you start recording. You're like, okay, I know the voice I want to use for this character. If you want to base it off of a celebrity voice, do a semi-impersonation, that's always helpful too. Makes it easy to recall the sound of that character's voice and the personality too. So yeah, I always have a list of. That's the first thing I do. Frankly, I go through and I find all the character voices, all their character traits, what are their vocal affectations, gender, age, accent, what's their personality, what's their background. And I just build it from there.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I do that first before I even highlight any dialogue or whatever I'm going to do to prep the book. I want to know who the characters are because I don't want to figure that out when you're 5 hours deep into the book and you're fatigued trying to come up on the fly with, because then I'm just going to use my generic voices that I use for like my crux. So
I also feel like when you're trying to figure it out spur of the moment, if it is a big character, it breaks your rhythm enough that it's like, oh, now I've like lost where I was. And yeah.
Totally. Well, it breaks up the rhythm, and it's just like, it ends up being more work. And also as we're going through the book prepping, there's things to consider. Is it a main character? Is it going to be a huge character? Come book 2, come book 3 in a series? You don't want to go full Christian Bale in the Dark Knight with a voice if you're going to have to sustain that voice for hours and hours and hours and hours over the course of a series. So you have to be strategic about how big can you go without hurting yourself too. Like, what voice can you sustain? And if it's a smaller character and has like 1 or 2 lines, I'll go pretty big sometimes because I know I don't have to do this character again. But if it's a main character, I'm gonna be more protective of my voice. An anonymous question. Ooh, okay, here we go. How does a narrator choose which voice for characters? How do you choose your voices, Alexa?
I would say I start with the text and what the author has given me.
Okay.
Just like I would with a play script or a film script. And, so I take the facts that are already written there and then I build from that. It depends on the project and it depends on what I'm feeling inspired by at the moment too. Like I feel like you mentioned celebrity references. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, this character reminds me of the element fire or water or something like that, and I'll kind of go with that. But yeah, I always try to start with the text.
Yeah, me too. I love it when the author gives you all the information you need. Tell me the personality. Tell me what they're, again, if they have an accent, do they have a lisp? Do they mumble? Are they quiet? Are they timid? Are they mousy? Like, I want to know all that stuff. Are they a big, sweet, soft teddy bear? I read a lot of romance. But like, just like, I want to know all that stuff up front, because if I'm left to my own devices to guess, in theory, you could do whatever you want. But I don't know if I have the confidence to take those.
I also feel like at the end of the day, like it's the author's story that you're telling.
Right.
So you want to do justice to their words and bring their words to life.
Right.
The best way that you can.
Right. I totally agree. Well, and you don't want to make it about you as the performer, right? It's like, it's so easy when there's not enough descriptions. You're like, I'll just go really big and make it my own character, but then it kind of becomes narcissistic. It's about the actor. Like, look at these fun voices that I can do. Look at what I can do. I've been working on this new celebrity impersonation. Here's me doing John Bernthal or whoever. It's like, yeah, I agree. Doing justice to the author's work is sometimes going less big on the voices and just like letting the words do the heavy lifting, and just as narrators, we just get out of the way. Let the text do the work. So, all right, here's another one from Andrea. Do you give yourself any cue or reminder to tell you which character you're voicing as you read it, or is it instinctual? Any cue?
I think we kind of hinted at this already.
Yeah.
I have like a file with samples for different characters, and I make that for every project. But, you know, if you're first starting something, you probably need to be reminding yourself more. But the deeper into a book, typically you don't have to keep referring back if it's at least like a main character.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough. Well, the main character is usually going to be your voice, right? Let's be honest.
Well, yes, but sorry, I meant like, you know, the larger supporting roles.
Sure. Gotcha. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it depends for me, you know, like there's some books where I will just be, I'll cast the characters. I'll say this character is going to be, I mean, I can't even think of anybody. It's, you know, this is going to be, I also will sometimes steal other narrators' voices, friends who I've narrated with. I won't mention who they are because they're all romance guys. But it's like, I'll be like, this guy's going to be this actor, this actor, this actor. And I'll just kind of use them as my blueprint.
That's funny.
Which I think is kind of flattering to them that I can actually like somewhat do do an impersonation of them. Still waiting to hear my impersonation. What the heck, guys? But I'll do that, and then then there's sometimes where it's like I'll just have the library of voices, and I will just have to reference before I start the chapter. I'll be like, okay, who's in this chapter? It's this character. I'll just go through the list, and I'll just listen to all their voices really quick before I start recording. So I have it in my head. And it's fresh what their voices sound like, and I feel confident to start recording, and I'll just go through the chapter, and then on the next chapter I'll go back and listen again, because I just don't want, I want to make sure I'm being consistent from chapter to chapter as well. And yeah, that's a good question though. Here's another one from Anonymous. How long does it take to record an audiobook? And another question that's related from Judy. Do you narrate audiobooks in one sitting?
I will let you take those questions.
Okay, sure. How long does it take? So I think of it in terms of ratio. So I wish I had a better ratio, but it takes me about 3 hours for 1 hour of audio. I wish I had a better ratio. I really do. It's 3 is the best I'm gonna get though. So about 3 hours of sitting in front of the microphone recording, I can finish 1 hour of audio. So that means I'm taking breaks, having to take, if I mess up on a line, I got to go back and redo the line. My voice cracks. Happens a lot. Got to go back and redo the line. Narrated audiobooks in one sitting. I know there's some narrators who will do it. I think they typically do it for charity. I know Andy Serkis did it for The Hobbit, which that's a 10-hour book. He sat and did that for Hobbiton. It was this big charity.
I can't imagine doing that in one sitting. For me, like, unless it's a children's book and it's really short, that is a difficult thing to do. I also stand when I narrate though. Okay. I'm standing in my booth right now actually. And so I'm using my whole instrument as I'm recording. Yeah. That would be difficult.
Did you always stand? I'm curious.
Mm-hmm. Actually, when I first started, I did try sitting for a while, and I don't know, I didn't like it. I feel like I just can engage my diaphragm better standing.
You arguably have more access to your body because voiceover is full body. Let's be honest. You're using everything, right? Like that's why when you see animation, you see video game recordings, they're standing, right? They're never sitting. Like we're the only part of voiceover that sits down to record. Like commercial voiceover, you're standing. But I went the other way. I used to stand in my original closet booth because I didn't have the space to sit down. Mm-hmm. It was like a 3-foot by 4-foot closet, so I just would stand. Now I've moved my setup, and now I sit. But I might be going back to the standing, Alexa, because you have more access to more tools. You can stand on your feet and like move and come to life.
I hear that's like very controversial, though. Every time I say it, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you stand? How do you do that?"
I feel like it's like half the people I work with stand.
Yeah.
Truly, it's totally a preference. I do think there's a certain constriction that comes with sitting, and it's arguably more comfortable to sit. But but not after like 3 or 4 hours of sitting. Then it starts to get kind of uncomfortable. So plus I hunch a lot too, and I'm doing it now. I'm sitting and just holding it on myself. Standing's arguably healthier and better for you. All right, you want some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you're getting them regardless. So, all right. So, in just one sentence, which character would you want to play in a sequel? One sentence or one word.
27 Dresses.
Oh, which character
The movie.
would you want to play?
So the character being Katherine Heigl, the lead,
Okay.
obviously.
Interesting. I thought that you were. I thought this was related to the Hawthorne Witch series, but you went to a totally different movie.
Yeah, I read them as more open-ended, but
Okay.
I don't know.
You know what?
I think maybe
you go off script. I like this.
I take it back. It would be interesting to narrate from like the witch council's perspective, or like Mira's perspective, or there's been a lot of good supporting characters throughout the series.
I was gonna say I think I would like to play Billy, his friend, but he goes through fun. He's just a fun character. He's more of like a goofy character at first, and then he goes through this transformation where he becomes part of their coven, which is really, it's kind of shocking. I didn't know he was going to go through. I thought he was just going to be the background friend character who's just goofy and silly, and he becomes a much more monumental part of the story without spoiling things. One word to describe your co-star's performance. Oh,
captivating.
Oh my God, magical. It was magical. First person or third person narration? What do you prefer? First person. Me too. I want to get inside the head of the character. The third person narrator is arguably a character too. But, what color best describes the Hawthorne University Witch prequel series?
Purple.
I was going to say purple too.
I feel like it's Alondra because she's like a mysterious character. Yeah. And I feel like purple goes with mystery.
I think you're totally right. I wonder if it's because maybe one of the covers is purple and it just like subconsciously is just in my head. But I was going to say purple too. What dream audiobook project would you love to work on next? Ooh.
I keep saying I want to do more mystery. My favorite author is Sophia Kinsella. I would love to narrate one of her books. Yeah. She just has really funny lines.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's not a distant dream for you at this point. You're in the circle. I don't know,
what about you?
I'd probably go, listen, just for my own street cred, if I could do Stephen King, that'd be great. Just to like say I did it. I'm also a big Robert E. Howard fan. He created Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Cimmerian. There's one audiobook series out there that's his anthology. I would love to jump in and just do like even like a short story. Give me like The Frost Giant's Daughter or something. Give me like one like the smaller short stories of that, just so I can just to do it. Cause he created the sword and sandals, or sword and sorcery genre of fantasy with Conan. So he's a big deal. He wrote everything in like the 1930s too. Very complicated figure, Robert E. Howard. And from A.L. Hawke, here's a question for you. Let's talk about the recording process. How did recording separately challenge your performance for this prequel series duet? So recording separately, how is that hard? How is that challenging?
Well, I think we were lucky in that we've worked together before. So I think that really helped. If you're attempting that with someone that you don't know very well, I think it's more difficult. Yeah. Because you can't hear their voice in your head as much. How was it challenging? It was challenging in that there were a lot of argument scenes. And I wasn't sure always whether or not you were going to emotionally be on the same trajectory that I was. And luckily you were.
Yeah. That's always the challenge with duet, in my opinion. You don't really know what the other actor's doing.
Yeah.
You know, we're supposed to be in the same scene and we're having the same conversation, but if we're not recording together, which most duets do not, for various reasons. I mean, you're on a totally different coast from me. We're 3 hours apart. So it just doesn't work out so well to like have everyone record at the same time. But that's always the challenge with duet is I find myself second guessing myself so much where I'm thinking, am I going too far? Am I not going? You know, it's a fight scene. Is she whispering and I'm screaming? It's like, you know, there's so many different ways to play a scene, and you want to make sure you're in the same scene or the same movie. I almost said, but
and in this in particular, the same universe.
The same universe, right? Like we want to be, you want to be on the same page. No pun intended. You want to be on the same page with your co-star. Okay. Anonymous question. What sort of interaction do you have with the author when creating audiobooks?
If you're working with a publisher, typically little to none. Sometimes you'll get notes from them if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's a publisher. Yeah.
But if I don't work with that many independent authors right now, just because timing, it's difficult. But I typically, if the author wants to be involved and I'm like all for that, I always insist on at least sending like an extended sample to the author before I record the entirety of the book, even if I've auditioned for it, just to make sure that you're on the same page. But if an author is really excited and wants to be involved with the project, then I will like sometimes go as far as sending character voices and things.
Yeah. Hawke made their selections, made it a lot easier for me as a narrator to just, there was no second guessing. I knew which voices they wanted to hear. And then beyond that, I will say I've worked with some other authors who, like you said, a lot of them are very hands off and they give you free reign to just do whatever you want, and that's kind of great sometimes because you just can just do your own thing and there's no speed bumps to get in the way. I've only had one experience, I don't know if it was under me or my pseudonym, where the author was very hands on, and I felt more like a puppet. I felt more like they really wanted to control every aspect of the production. And that really slows things down, and it kind of becomes less fun when that happens. So, but that didn't happen with Hawke. So
it also must have been interesting for you, like, given I had already been narrating this series for so long and had created a lot of the characters and the world building and stuff. So it must have been, or was it difficult for you, like having to jump into that and just like adapt everything?
I think it's always challenging to start somewhere in a series because it's already been pre-established. The way it's easy is you were already part of it. So I mean, I think that you sent me character voices that you had already done. So I had an idea of the tone. The tone was already established. So that makes it easier. But when you come on board for a series, which happens all the time, especially in romance, they'll jump into like book 3, book 4, and you know, they'll change the cast from book to book. And you just want to make sure you're matching what they did to a degree, but you have to find a way to make it your own too. I mean, there's a reason you were cast, right? So that's always the challenge I have. It's like, okay, what's the universe? What's the tone? What did this previous narrator bring to the table? And now, how do I stay in that same universe, but give my interpretation of it as well? And so that can always be a bit of a challenge. So not always, it's not always easy, folks.
Well, I think you definitely nailed that with Liam, especially. Yeah, which it was cool to like hear how you had taken the tiny sample that I had given you and like totally ran with it.
Well, thank you. Well, I think you nailed Alondra.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's over the course of however many books. So another one from A.L. Hawke. Was there a particular moment or scene that stuck with you from the prequel series? Particular moment or scene?
What's coming to mind right now, and spoiler alert, question mark.
Sure. Is it from Bob Policus?
Now I'm like, which one is it from?
It's all one of them.
One of them. There's a hiking scene with Alondra and Liam, and I think it just struck me because it's supposed to be like around Christmas time, and it's so funny to imagine Alondra celebrating a holiday like Christmas, when she's so into like her witchy culture, to be doing like something with Liam's family like that.
Very much so a human moment too, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say which book it's from, but I know very clearly. I know exactly the scene you're talking about. You know, she's been butting heads with Liam's mom over the holidays, and there's tension between Liam's girlfriend or wife at the time and Alondra, and so it's like there's that tension, and there's Liam's mother, and it's just like it creates this weird tense dynamic between all of them. And yeah, I agree. It's like she's a witch, but you know, she always comes back down to earth to have these human moments.
Like imagining her even like at the grocery store seems odd.
Going to school. Like,
yeah.
You're a witch. Why are you going to college? Just find the Powerball number and just go to school, right? Just do a spell and let's be rich forever. No, well, and I will say that scene too. It's interesting because that scene comes after all these traumatic moments too, very traumatic moments, and so it was a moment of levity. That was fun for me. I think honestly, there's not a specific moment necessarily. Well, there's one that I can't say. It's a huge spoiler, but any of the scenes with Melanie, the little girl, there's a lot of possession happening in the prequel series. And it's just like, man, it's so creepy and unnerving. And there were so many moments where it kind of came out of nowhere. There's scenes where Liam's in the classroom and he's in, Professor Kriegel's lecture, and all of a sudden he starts hearing voices in the room that it's like this bend in reality where all of a sudden you don't know if he's asleep, is he dreaming, or is he seeing a ghost? Is he hallucinating? Is it in his head? There's a lot of eerie moments that are just creepy, and Melanie's character, it just felt like The Exorcist meets The Ring at times. It was just creepy, and like I love a good creepy scene. Doing any kind of like, I struggle with this word, but horror, any kind of horror scene. I mean, I just think I'm all for it. I like the spooky stuff.
I would say in the series in general, there's a Melanie scene that also sticks in my mind, like when Melanie and Cadence kind of have their like final showdown.
Sure.
Yeah, Melanie is a great character.
Yeah, and she's kind of a through line villain. Well, she's complicated. I don't know if she's a villain. She's
also very fun to play a character that just goes completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Where like vocally you can really play with that.
Yeah.
And even like, yeah, age-wise, like she kind of goes in and out of things. Like
yes.
There's so much to play with.
I was just saying, I bet that was really fun, but also a challenge because you play her as a little kid, you play an older version of her as well, right? You do different voices, and I mean, she's possessed, so like you have some freedom to just kind of play this ethereal quality too, right? Where
yeah.
It's like, is it a spirit speaking through her? Is it more of her childlike voice? Is it more of this demon voice? It's like there's a lot of stuff to play with there, which can be fun, but also I'm sure challenging also. Okay, here's another one from Anonymous Alexa. Is there any genre that you refuse to narrate?
I am not going to answer that question because I think that it is limiting.
Sure.
If I do answer it. And I like to assess projects on an individual basis.
Sure. I would say that's why we have pseudonyms. You know, I haven't come across the genre. I've refused to narrate. I haven't. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if they're out there, frankly. Maybe there's something out there that I would just look at and go, oh, this is not for me. But haven't done that yet. Okay, another question from A.L. Hawke. Some actors have famously been known to drift off script in film. Do you ever really want to veer off script, but can't when confined to an unabridged audio?
It's an interesting question.
Yeah. Do you ever find it tough to stay within the confines of like reading verbatim, reading word for word?
That, yes, sometimes, especially if there's something that you as a person would say differently and you keep like reading the wrong thing and your brain is like not getting it.
Yeah. I'm in Southern California. We have such a lazy grasp of the English language across the board. Like every time, and we say so many things different that I don't think we do. Like motorcycle, we say motorcycle all the time. It's just like we just do weird little things like that I have to be conscious of. And man, yes, I just, there's so many times where audiobooks in general, I feel like you'll be in this really emotional scene. It's really intense, but you got to be word perfect, right? So it's almost like you're in the middle of a hurricane. You're trying to thread that needle. You're just trying to like get it perfect, but frankly, that's why for a lot of scenes I don't go too crazy on the scenes because I just naturally will start to just add my own dialogue, or I'll dyslexic my way around a sentence and I'll just like move things around and I just know it's going to be a pickup later. Sometimes though, if I'm in it, I will say I'm really in the scene. I know that I'm probably not getting every word right, but I just let it go because I'm like, you know what? I don't want to just lose the moment. I'm going to go through the scene. I'm going to go through the text. I'll deal with it as a pickup later if I messed it up. Because I'd rather have the performance be there than be word perfect. I can usually probably replicate the performance to a degree from the pickup phase when we're making our corrections. But yeah, I do find it really challenging. I will say audiobooks in general too. I don't know if you've experienced this, but it's one of the only forms of acting where you really do aim to be word perfect. Video games, animation, there's a lot of freedom to play with the words and the dialogue. And if it doesn't feel natural, you can kind of make some minor adjustments in the moment to just make it sound more conversational, make it sound more like how you would speak. Audiobooks, you don't really have that play. And also, it depends on the publisher.
Yes, that I was just going to mention actually.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I first started learning and working with a coach on audiobooks, like that was one of the first things we talked about was like, oh, like, well, you have to, you wouldn't say cannot, you'd say can't.
Right.
So you should be doing stuff like that. But then like not every publisher allows that.
Right. That's one example too. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. Like some publishers are like, yes, you can use contractions. You can change cannot to can't or whatever. Not every publisher's like that. Also, some publishers don't want you to take extended beats, or if you have a lot of breath work going on where you're puffing and panting and you have a really, breathy scene. Seen those pickups too where they're like, hey, could you just like cut the breaths out? Just a sentence. Also, one thing about audiobooks is you can't sing. You can't sing if there's lyrics to a song, you can't sing. I don't know if it's a rights issue or a licensing issue, but
I believe so, yes.
I think it might be. But you can't sing. So there's a lot of things that can feel very awkward in the audiobook format, especially in like music. I swear, when you come across a song and it's such an iconic song, we all know it. The lyrics are out there. The characters are belting it in a bar, and you can't sing it. You can't use it. You have to just say the lyrics. It's an odd experience, and it makes you as an actor feel like, am I a bad actor? Do I not know how to perform this? What's going on? But that's always an odd one for me.
Yeah, those scenes definitely kill me a little.
Yeah, totally. All right, from Kimberly. To date, what has been your favorite book to narrate? Ooh.
I feel like that's a really difficult question. It changes all the time.
Right.
And so today I'm going to say I narrated a book by Sophie Andrews, and it is so good. What's it called? It's called Under One Roof. That's what it's called.
I know Sophie Andrews. That's huge. Congrats.
She's great. And yeah, that's right now, that's my favorite.
Yeah. Whatever book you're recording at the moment is your
pretty
favorite.
Much.
I don't know if I can answer that either, because it just changes. Like you said, I mean, there's books I'm really, really proud of. Series that I'm really proud of. I've loved this series a ton. This has been great. I mean, you were working with you I think it was one of my first books with Tantor.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've been working together for 4 years now.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I mean, it was
wow.
honestly as soon as my daughter was born. So I guess June 2022 was the first time we worked together. I think that was my second book with Tantor. In fact, the book that we worked on, my wife was in the hospital going into labor, and I got the audition for the book, and I just told Tantor, I said, hey, I don't think I can actually get this audition in on time. So sorry, I'm gonna have to miss this one. And they said, oh, we'll just send your Audible samples and we'll send those to the author. And I booked that job and didn't have to audition for it. Yeah. It was my second book with Tantor, actually. I think the first book I did was a book about alchemy. It's called The Alchemist's Handbook. So it's full circle. Look at that. Come back to Elantra. It's all spells and magic.
It's funny too, because we haven't worked together for Tantor since that book.
I don't think we have. No, I think you're right. One book, right? I don't even remember the name of it. I'm trying to think of it. Oh no, it doesn't matter. It's on there.
Oh God.
We have a lot of books under our belt, Alexa.
We do.
A lot of books. So 3.5 years ago.